misty morning, a bit of a wet one. It's about 8 o'clock and I'm just about another 20 minutes before our launch point.
This Algonquin trip would be my most ambitious solo to date. The previous September saw me depart from Canoe Lake, head up through the Joes, into Burnt Island, Sunbeam, Tom Thompson, and back out through Fawn and Teepee Lake. This year's loop would take me much further. Bigger lakes, tougher portages, new territory for me, including the otter slides, big and white trout, and Macintosh.
Here we go. Alrighty campers, here we are. A beautiful, quiet Algonquin morning.
A mysterious illness had started to affect me leading up to this trip. Flu-like symptoms, fatigue, and soreness in my muscles and joints. I wasn't about to let that stand in the way, though. These trips are my recharge.
A little bit of protection for now. Some more sham wow is in order. Alright, taking shelter into the old canoe for a bit. Nuts.
Things got off on a decidedly damp note. Nobody likes a cold, wet hat. So, with my Gandalf-esque Glad kitchen catcher firmly in place, I took advantage of the lulls and pushed on into the gray. As I neared the portage into Baby Joe, the weather cleared up for all of about 10 minutes. It rained hard for roughly the next hour. Thankfully, a fellow tripper who had seen me depart in the morning and was staying at the nearby Erewhon Pines Lodge kindly offered to carry the Carolyn Jane for me. All I asked in return was that I tell him a little bit about the boat and that I fish a lighter out of my pack and help him light a ceremonial soggy smoke at the end of the portage. Deal. Thanks, Ken.
Finally, a little bit of sun. Woohoo! We need some more. Taking a quick break, about halfway up Burnt Island. Strong headwind. I'm going to put another hour in just to kind of get a little bit further down the lake. Arthritis is killing my hands. Driving me nuts.
I would have liked to get a little further on this first day, but I was bushed. That and my achy hands convinced me to find a site.
This is my campsite for day one. Not bad. Not too shabby. Boiling some water. Dehydrated stew. First time I'm doing my own dehydrated meals. Drying out my boots and my life jacket. The hamo. Whew. Every night I have that to look forward to. Once you tried it, you may never go back. The temperature has dropped quite a bit. 10 degrees maybe. Alright, 5 minutes later, eating your own rehydrated meals that don't suck. Holy moly. Thanks, Mom. Okay, day 2. What a crazy day yesterday was, and it looked like today might start the same way. It started pissing rain as soon as I got up. But thankfully it has held off and looks to be clearing up somewhat anyway. My biggest concern today is arthritis. If you can believe that. I've just had some sort of issue with my knees and my hands. It's questionable whether I should continue on. That's how sore they are. Thankfully, I brought some Tylenol 3 and some A535, and hopefully that'll get me through. I don't want to be stuck somewhere up in big trout with useless hands. So, first big portage, I'm about 500, 600 meters into it. This portion would have just been crazy yesterday. Slow and steady wins the race.
About midway through the day, the pain in my hands began to be quite bothersome, and I started entertaining the idea of turning around to go back before getting too deep into the park. I decided to push on.
The portages continue. I just bumped into another fella doing the same trip as me, a guy named Peter. And at the same time, we saw a moose. A mom and a calf. I think the daddy was back in the woods there somewhere, looking out for them. But that was pretty cool. We got pretty close. This weather's been so up and down, but it's starting to clear. A little bit more sun poking through here and there. Whew. This arthritis in my hands is almost debilitating. I'm having a hard time picking things up sometimes. I really don't know what the hell's going on with that. First it was my knee, now both hands, the top of my hands. Every time I flex my fingers, it's just crazy painful. Whew. But anyway, slogging away.
I would have been a heck of a lot more miserable if it weren't for the awesome scenery, the tranquility, and the nice push I was getting from the swollen water levels.
Heading into Big Trout. Just finished that little 105 and that huge 730. This is where we're headed. I don't know. Hopefully I camp somewhere around here. Let's do it.
Finally, today's portages were behind me, and Big Trout was at the doorstep.
There's a heron.
There are times on these backcountry trips where you literally feel like you're suspended in a painting. A living, real-time, high-definition work of art. When planning a route, I always make sure I leave ample time for these very moments.
There she be. Big Trout.
Despite the calm water in these narrows leading into Big Trout, the reality out on the lake was very different. A stiff, cool wind would keep me from making any headway. It took me a good solid hour just to achieve the short distance that I managed.
So here we are. Big Trout. And it is big, no doubt. I just kind of got out into the lake and then, okay, I gotta take the very first campsite I see. It's this windswept point.
I spent the remainder of the day squaring away my kit, enjoying a few cocktails and giving my hands a much-needed rest. This campsite wasn't ideal for stringing a hammock, so I set my bedding up on the ground that night. And sleep came quickly, under a carpet of sporadic cloud and beaming stars.
Okay. Whew. Another cloudy day.
Another cool, damp morning.
Rain seems to be the order of the day again today. I've just tucked in here under a couple of big trees, trying to stay relatively dry. But there's patches of clear sky here and there, so fingers crossed. I'm in White Trout Lake right now, about halfway down it. I'm gonna probably pull over, maybe start a fire and dry off. Campers, quite a day. Another rainy day. Even though the weatherman said it wasn't supposed to be rainy. Then it's a little bit cool now too. And I'm still dealing with this, I don't even know what you call it, insane arthritis. I don't know if you can tell from there, but both my hands are humped over here. When I got out of the canoe, I could barely uncurl them for about a half an hour. That still caused me a lot of grief. Kind of freaking me out actually, because I don't want to be stuck out here without the use of my hands. I ran into another soloist from Vermont. He had a weather radio, and they say that it's supposed to clear up today and be nice for the next couple days. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. It's a beautiful sight. It's on a point, a big, huge marsh. Lots of ducks, lots of heron, lots of geese. Heard a moose earlier on, grunting and moaning back there in the woods. Chipmunks and squirrels, plenty of them around here. And here's what our friend was munching on. That was a full-on pine cone just about a minute and a half ago. It'll be a pretty quick work of it. Every now and then one of these big old pines on the shore loses its tenuous grip on the rock and falls in the water. Let's hope it's not this guy's turn tonight, 'cause I'll be a pancake. That's the end of day 3. Gonna catch some much needed Z's. Gotta admit my spirits were wavering a little bit today. Pushing on into that rain and wind. Boy, I'd had enough. But anyway, it's calm now, and hopefully the next couple days will be nice. Day 4 coming up. Steel cut oats, raisins and cinnamon, and a touch of sugar. Had a beautiful sleep last night. 10 hours. But I don't know if the sun's going to burn off all this fog, but we're going to find out soon enough. Sort of see where I'm going now. This is unfamiliar territory for me. Wow, it is beautiful out here. What a nice change from day 1. Remember this? Nasty. But that's all behind me now. Got a couple of big portages today. I might go to McIntosh, or I might rocket and do the big crazy portage and get all the way into Tom Thompson. Day 4.